Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to my review of tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw. And it just ended a few minutes ago, and I hope you all enjoyed my Fastlane review that went up earlier this morning. Hope you all enjoyed that review. But I thought tonight's Raw was decent. Had some it had some matches that were meh, and then there was some stuff that I actually really liked. So, but let's get started with the review. I gotta say that Raw tonight I thought was a whole lot better than Fastlane last night. Way better than Fastlane. So, but the show opened with Jericho saying that tonight is the resurrection of Jericho, and that he goes on to say how he screwed Kevin Owens last night at Fastlane. Kevin Owens ends up coming out and cutting off Jericho, on the mic. Jericho wants to know why Owens betrayed him. Owens goes on to say that he did not stab Jericho in the back, and that he was never really his friend. Owens says that Jericho outsmarted him over Goldberg last night in their match. Jericho says that he wants to face Owens at Mania, and Owens will only face Jericho if Jericho puts the U.S. title on the line, and Jericho agrees to that. And so at WrestleMania, it's going to be Owens versus Jericho for the U.S. title. And then Owens goes on to say that he's getting his rematch for the Universal title anytime soon. He could face Goldberg or whoever wins at WrestleMania anytime. So, and then Jericho says for Owens to come down to the ring. They won't have to wait until WrestleMania. They could just face each other in the ring tonight. And so Owens ends up coming down, and both him and Jericho start going at it. Then Samoa Joe ends up coming in and taking out Jericho. Sami Zayn also comes in to make the save. And so it was only Sami Zayn and Jericho in the ring together. But it was a pretty cool. It was a pretty cool opening segment. Great to see Jericho back since he was out of action since Owens took him out at the Festival of Friendship thing. So, and then the first match was Owens versus Sami Zayn once again. We all know Owens and Sami Zayn puts on good matches when they're in the ring together. But you all know who wins. Owens won with the pop-up powerbomb to Sami Zayn to score the win. So, but it was a good match though. I really liked it. So yeah, really enjoyed Owens versus Zayn once again. Like I said, they always put on good matches together. Next was Neville versus Rich Swann for the Cruiserweight title. Why are they putting up the Cruiserweight title again when it was already defended last night? So, but it was a entertaining match. I like both Neville and Rich Swann, but and then you had Neville hit Rich Swann outside the ring on the ring apron, also into the LED screen that's on the ring. But Neville got the win, still retains the Cruiserweight title. So, and then after the match, you had Austin Aries interviewing Neville, saying, and Neville goes on to say he's happy about what he does, to all the stars, to all the Cruiserweight stars, and he proves, to the people who doubt him, and he holds up the Cruiserweight title and says, look at me now. For people who said, he wasn't even going to be the Cruiserweight champion. And he also goes on to say that there is no one on 205 Live that hold a candle to him, saying that, he's the best of the cruiserweights. And then Neville starts to get in Aries' face, and Aries knocks Neville out with the mic. It was really cool. It was really cool to see Austin Aries do that. It was really cool. But overall, Neville versus Rich Swann for the Cruiserweight title. It was a good match. It was the first Cruiserweight match of the night tonight. And then we see after that Enzo and Big Cass backstage with Cesaro and Sheamus. Cesaro and Sheamus end up calling Enzo and Cass, cup of jobbers. How Enzo always says, "What we got over here? A cup of haters." And so Enzo and Cass, tell Cesaro and Sheamus to watch their match. Their rematch tonight against Gallows and Anderson for the tag team titles. So it was a little segment. It was okay. And after that, Goldberg ends up coming out, talking about saying that the Universal title belongs to the fans just as much as him, and he couldn't have done it without the fans. Paul Heyman ends up coming out, introducing Brock Lesnar, Goldberg's opponent for WrestleMania. Lesnar ends up coming out, and he gets face-to-face with Goldberg once again. Paul Heyman says that one of them will walk out the winner, one will walk out the loser at WrestleMania. Heyman goes on to say that Lesnar will be the one winning the title at WrestleMania, and that when the match is over, Goldberg will be called as Brock's bitch, and it leads to Lesnar hitting the F5 on Goldberg. So this is setting up the match, of course, at WrestleMania. So it was a pretty good segment. I really liked it. Then after that, it was Gallows and Anderson versus Enzo and Big Cass, a rematch for the tag team titles. It was meh to me. It was just like their match. It was just like the match at Fastlane last night, the match quality. But you had Cesaro and Sheamus coming out and watching the match. And Luke Gallows and Karl Anderson won the match by DQ because Cesaro and Sheamus got involved and started taking out Enzo and Cass, and they also took out Gallows and Anderson. So, but all in all, it was a meh match. And then after that, came back from commercial, we saw Cesaro and Sheamus backstage arguing with Enzo and Big Cass. And Mick Foley ends up making a match with, for next week, it will be Cesaro and Sheamus versus Enzo and Big Cass next week on Raw. And the winners of that match will face Gallows and Anderson for the tag team titles at WrestleMania. So it was pretty cool. A pretty cool segment. And then you had Stephanie come and tell Foley to come in her office if he wants to have a nice day. So that was to end the segment, the backstage segment. And then we move on to the last Cruiserweight match. It was Akira Tozawa versus Ariya Davari. Pretty good match. Akira Tozawa impressing once again, very good in the ring. The crowd is behind him. Probably the only Cruiserweight star that the crowd is behind, Akira Tozawa. But Akira Tozawa won the match with a great snap suplex to Ariya Davari to score the win. So, and then after the match, he calls out Brian Kendrick to fight him. And then Brian Kendrick ends up coming out saying that he will have an answer for Tozawa tomorrow night on 205 Live. So, but Akira Tozawa versus Ariya Davari was a pretty good match. Thanks to Akira Tozawa's performance in the ring tonight. just really impressive, Akira Tozawa. And then you had after that you had New Day coming out with their ice cream cart, which they forgot to mention in my Fastlane review. They did debut that ice cream cart last night at Fastlane, and the cart is just on a bike. The bike actually reminds me of something out of Pee-wee's Big Adventure. It reminds me of Pee-wee's bike from Pee-wee's Big Adventure, which that's what it looks like though. You have them going crazy over the cart. You have Big E strangely kissing the cart, licking the cart. Oh man, they just came out tonight. Same thing with the ice cream cart, talking about the ice cream and everything, and eventually led to New Day versus the Jobbers, Shining Stars. Do I really need to tell you all who wins this match? And if you say New Day, you are right. So New Day won the match. Was a shitty match, though, sadly, against the Shining Stars. And if you go up against the Shining Stars, the Shining Stars are gonna job to those superstars. So yeah, it was a shitty match. So, and then you had Mick Foley in the ring introducing Bayley. He congratulates her on retaining the title last night at Fastlane. Bayley ends up saying that she needs to move forward and go on to WrestleMania. Mick Foley asks Bayley who will her opponent be at Mania. Sasha ends up coming out saying that she wants to face Bayley at WrestleMania for the title. Charlotte and Dana Brooke come out saying that Sasha had no chance. She had no chance for another rematch when Charlotte still held the title, because after Roadblock ended the line, Sasha couldn't face Charlotte again for the title. And Charlotte goes on to say that she was robbed of her winning back the title and robbed of her pay-per-view streak last night. And eventually led to Stephanie ended up coming out. CM Punk chants were going because they were in Chicago tonight. She calls all the Chicago fans losers. But when she was on the mic, the CM Punk chants were very loud, like you couldn't really hear, Stephanie talk. Stephanie goes on to say that Bayley would not have the women's title if it wasn't for Sasha helping. Stephanie makes a match saying that, it will be Bayley versus Sasha at WrestleMania. Then Foley made, a match for that also. But Steph ends up, making a good match. She makes a match for Bayley versus Sasha on Raw tonight. And if Sasha wins the match, it will be a triple threat at WrestleMania. And if Bayley wins, it will be just Bayley versus Sasha. So eventually, after the segment, it was a pretty good segment though. After the segment, after Raw came back from commercial, it went into Sasha versus Bayley. It was a pretty good match. It was very entertaining. Seeing Sasha and Bayley go at it once again. We haven't seen this since NXT Takeover. I think it was NXT Takeover The End. I think it was when Bayley retained the NXT title. But this was a cool match. This was a pretty good match. You had Charlotte on commentary through the match. At the end of the match, you had Dana Brooke, trying to get into the match. The ref was distracted by Dana, and it eventually led to Charlotte trying to get involved, but Sasha kicked her off because she had Bayley and the bank statement. But eventually, Sasha held on to Bayley with the bank statement and led to sadly Bayley tapping out to the bank statement. And so now that Sasha won the match, it's gonna be a triple threat at WrestleMania. It's gonna be Sasha versus Bayley versus Charlotte at WrestleMania, and it just reminds me of last year's WrestleMania, where it was just Sasha and Charlotte. You take out Bayley and replace her with you take out Becky Lynch and you put Bayley in. It's the same exact match from last year's WrestleMania, minus Becky Lynch being in the match. So, but yeah, after the match, you had Charlotte coming in, kicking both Sasha and Bayley. So, but all in all, Sasha versus Bayley was a good match tonight. Very entertaining, in my opinion. Then you had a little short interview with Roman Reigns, talking about Braun Strowman, and he said if Braun wants to find him, he will be in the ring at the end of the night. So a little short backstage segment interview. Then was Triple H being interviewed by Michael Cole. Triple H was being interviewed via satellite, talk about Seth Rollins' rehab. He goes on to say that he hopes that Rollins listens to the experts about, his rehab with his leg. He ends up calling Rollins a liar, saying that, Rollins was saying, he's the man, and Triple H ends up saying that that's a lie. Rollins is just lying to the people. And he goes on to say, like what he said last week, what Triple H said last week, that if Rollins is at WrestleMania and he calls out Triple H, it will be a nightmare for Rollins, and it will be the last thing he will do in a WWE ring. So, the same exact words that he said last week. So, but yeah, it was a pretty cool little interview with Triple H. Then after that, we had Samoa Joe versus Chris Jericho. It was a pretty entertaining match. Good seeing Joe and Jericho go at it. It was back and forth action. But Joe ended up getting the win with the count out because both Joe and Jericho were outside the ring, and Joe put the Coquina clutch on Jericho, and Joe won by count because Jericho was passed out outside of the ring. Then after the match, Joe put Jericho back in the ring, and then just out of nowhere, Jericho hit the code breaker on Joe. So, it was a pretty good match, though. It was the main event. That was the main event, though. So, and then the final segment of the night, it was Braun Strowman calling out Roman Reigns. He goes on to say that Roman got lucky last night, and he wants Roman to come down to the ring, and Braun is going to rip Roman up. And then for a second, this was segment of the night, the best segment of the night. Roman's music hits for a little bit, and then Undertaker's music hits, which was really cool. It's really awesome to see, Taker return. You have Taker coming into the ring. He's in there with Strowman. Strowman wants nothing to do with Taker, so he ends up leaving the ring. And so it's just, Taker in there. Roman Reigns ends up coming out, getting in the ring. And when Taker came out, there was a lot of holy shit chants from the Chicago crowd. And then what was funny was they went from holy shit, and then when Roman's music hit, they all booed really loudly. That was really hilarious. But Roman ends up coming out, gets in the ring with Taker. Roman ends up telling Taker that, the ring is his yard now. And eventually leads to Taker looking up at the WrestleMania sign. And then out of nowhere, he just choke slams Roman Reigns, which was really funny, though. Choke slams Roman to end the show. So it was really cool. It was a really awesome segment. I really liked it. I have to say it was segment of the night, in my opinion. Seeing Taker again was really awesome. And so now it's going to set up Roman Reigns, probably Roman Reigns versus Undertaker at, WrestleMania. Because that little stare that Taker, when he was staring at the WrestleMania sign. So, but yeah, it was like I said, it was a decent Raw tonight. Really liked some of the stuff on there. So yeah, so anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's edition of Monday Night Raw. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all back tomorrow, like always, with my review of tomorrow night's SmackDown. So yeah, so until tomorrow night, until that video, I'll see you all later. Bye.